10 seconds. Stand by. And our event number 1 for your individual competition now underway. The long one of the weekend, triple three. Starting off with our individual gentlemen on a nice 3K row. And they're gonna move on past the rig for 300 double unders. And then finish up with an enthralling 3-mile run. Let's go down the line and introduce our competitors. Starting in lane number 1, so left side of the rig. Dylan Bailey. In lane number 2, Braden Stubblefield. In lane number 3, Logan Southard. In lane number 4, Z.A. Anderson. In lane number 5, Marco Alejandro Dapke. In lane number 6, Henry Sales. In lane number 7, Andrew McGovern. In lane number 8, Dane Smith. In lane number 9, Chris Killian. In lane number 10, Adam Vinson. In lane number 11, Zachary Mossbarger. In lane number 12, Kyle Montgomery. In lane 13, Alexander Johnson. In lane 14, Adam Klink. In lane number 15, Josh Mabry. In lane 16, Zach Brock. In lane number 17, Ryan Reeves. In lane 18, Christopher Clyde. In lane number 19, Scott Giuliano. And rounding out your heat, in lane number 20, Daniel Petro. So again, folks, this is your first look at the individual side of competition. Condensing these heats. 2 heats of men, 2 heats of women, tackling the repeat from the 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games, triple three. Only change is bringing it indoors from Carson and not running outdoors, running on those assault runners. Let's take a quick peek at where our athletes are at. Down here in lane number 20, far right side. 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games competitor Daniel Petro, nearing the 900-meter mark. Almost 1,000 meters in for Scott Giuliano. So it looks like our top athletes just passed 1,000 of their 3,000 row. Dane Smith, center of the rig, just now eclipsing 1,000 meters down. Lane number 5, Marco Alejandro Dapke, running at a 1:51. He is already 1,100 meters in. 1,200 meters in for Z.A. Anderson. So that would appear to be your leader to this point. Z.A. leading the charge on the rower. Not far off here in lane number 10, Adam Vinson appears to be nearly 1,300 of his 3,000 meters in. So while we await the athlete that will set the time to beat heading into heat number 2, give you guys an update on that event record set back during the European Regional. 35 minutes and 25 seconds. Sigurdur Prasterson. And he got off the road about 10.5 minutes. As our athletes now near the midway point of this 3K row. So we mentioned Daniel Petro, one of the game's veterans in the field. Finished 13th in 2013. Another athlete also making his lone individual games appearance down the opposite end, Z.A. Anderson, finished 10th in 2013. Both men looking to make a return trip this time to Madison, Wisconsin. As we check back in, Z.A. pulling at about a 146. He's coming up on the 1,250 meters to go, so he's 1,750 meters in. And that will appear to still be your leader. So our top athletes now 2/3 of the way through. Now with less than 1,000 meters to go. Once again, a little reminder, once they're done, they're gonna move on up through the rig and tackle their double unders. They'll move up every 100 reps. And then it's on to the assault runner for the duration. And you're gonna see their judge advance that chest piece every 400 meters so you guys can keep track of their progress. Down in lane number 1, CrossFit West Chase's very own Dylan Bailey, now with less than 1,000 meters to go. Braden Stubblefield also at less than 1,000. Logan Southard with 930 to go. Let's check in with our leader, Z.A. with just 750 meters to go, 750. Adam Vinson, maybe about 30 or 40 meters off. He's at 730 meters now remaining. Adam Klink, lane 14, with 650 meters to go. Competed at regionals previous 5 years. So we're coming up on that 9-minute mark. See when these guys get off that rower. Don't expect there to be a ton of separation between first and last here on the get. On the first movement, we'll definitely see our leader emerge on the runner. So we got a hand up in the air for Z.A. Looks Looks like 3 hands up, as a matter of fact. So that hand up indicating final 250 meters. So we're gonna see some athletes get off those rowers in less than 1 minute's time. Their jump ropes waiting patiently. The ensuing 300 double unders. And next on the menu this soon-to-be afternoon. So looking at who it's gonna be down in lane number 4 as well as lane 18. Christopher Clyde and Z.A. Anderson first to the double unders. We got a few more guys joining them. Alexander Johnson also in the mix, getting to that double under rope first. And now here comes the rest of the pack. So again, folks, look for them to move on up when they finish 1 hundo. So 100 down for ZA, down the way, lane 18. Christopher Clyde of CrossFit API, also 100 in. So just to put it into perspective again, that event record time, 35:25. The split off of the dubs, 13:35 and onto the runner. Christopher Clyde looking to finish up. Can't miss him there, lane 18. With the sweet mustache, working towards rep 200, and he'll move up one more time. But if I'm not mistaken, Z.A. Anderson is already up. We got a bunch of guys now 200 reps in. Adam Klink appears to also be on his final 100 reps. So who's gonna be the first one on that runner, folks? Looking down the way, who's gonna get there? Well, we know some of these guys are getting close. And it's gonna be Adam Klink onto the runner first. And next it's gonna be Z.A. Anderson. They're gonna be your 1 and 2, getting on at about the 14-minute mark. Next it's gonna be Reeves, taking a quick sip before he'll jump on. Next to Z.A. Anderson, Marco Alejandro Dapke, and Henry Sales getting to work. So if we're talking about the movement that's gonna take the sheer most amount of time, it's right here on the runner. So you'll see that advancement means they have started on the run. And then from there, that's the number of meters they're working towards, those little squares there. They're working towards their first 400, and they're going to advance it every 400 meters. So we almost have the rest of the pack onto the run, just a few more to go. Daniel Petro jumping on and getting to it. And it looks like your early leader setting the pace on the run, Henry Sales. As you can see, moving his chest piece forward first. That indicates he is over the 400-meter mark. But remember, this is a long race, 3 miles. Plenty of advancements to go. Adam Klink now also 400 meters in. Sales 800 in, wow. Setting a fairly blazing pace in lane number 6. Shooting over a smile to someone out there in the crowd. And he is legging it out. So I'll tell you the mentally difficult part about bringing this event indoors. If you're running outdoors, you have a very easy indicator at what pace you're going versus everybody else. You can try to chase other people, but the only visual representation you have of the lead, or you versus others, are the advancement of these chest pieces every 400. So you don't know if you're going fast enough to overtake somebody else or not. It's you and that assault runner. As it looks like Dylan Bailey now in the lead. As we pass the 18-minute mark. The 3 guys distinguishing themselves here in heat number 1. Bailey, Klink, and Brock. As Bailey gonna move on up again. Getting aligned on the placements, folks. So now at this point, it looks like we have a little bit of a tie between 10 gentlemen, half the field, working towards the 1,200 meter mark on their first of 3 miles. But it would appear that the man that was first to the runner, Adam Klink, will have the advantage. And about 15 seconds later, Dylan Bailey now moving into about the position as Klink, meaning it's probably somewhere between 50 and 100 meters behind. So it goes Klink, Bailey, as we look for our third place athlete, because there is a knot up for that third position. They're using chess pieces for a reason. This is a chess match, moving the piece back and forth. But now it looks like we've got it again. Klink with the lead. And Anderson, Dapke, Montgomery, and more. So again, folks, what level that chess piece is at indicates the number of meters they're working towards. So for example, our leaders working towards finishing their first mile. And that is 1,600 meters, as Adam Klink remains ahead of the pack, moving his chess piece on up. So just shy of that 22-minute mark. Adam Klink is 1 mile in and continuing his march on the runner. Klink once again with 5 previous individual regional appearances. Looking to punch his first individual ticket to the Reebok CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin. As are the rest of the guys out on the floor. Really setting the tone for this weekend with event number 1 of 6, the long one. And then later on this afternoon, it's on to Linda. So it goes Klink, then everybody else, as he looks to outleg the rest of the field, as Anderson and Dapke and Sales all virtually simultaneously. Mabry moving into the same level of chess piece advancement as your leader, Klink. Dylan Bailey also now advanced through his first mile. But there goes Adam Klinks once again, nearing that midway point in the 3-mile run. As more athletes now move on up through their first mile. Almost have the entire field through 1 mile of the 3. The time cap set 49 minutes. Doubt any of these gentlemen are going to need that. As all of them appear to be moving at a pretty good lick. There's still plenty of time for moves to be made. Some of these guys maybe misjudged their pace their first time out on the big stage here at the Atlantic Regional. At least here in 2018. Come out of the gate a little too hot. We saw some athletes across the previous 2 weeks forced to walk. We have not seen that here in heat number 1. So now moving into second, Mabry, Dapke, and Sales, again, virtually simultaneously. So if they were out on a track, maybe 5 meters at most between them. Zia Anderson in a not-so-distant 5th place. But it's Adam Klink once again back ahead of the pack. So we're only going to advance every 400 meters, so really dependent on the amount of time that his piece is ahead of the rest. They advanced that piece at about 25:30, so let's see just how much room is between him and the rest of the field through their first mile and a half. So with that, check it out, at least a 1-minute lead for Adam Klink over the rest of the field. Looking strong through at least a mile and a half. It is all about Klink as he looks to set an impressive and untouchable time to beat for the men to come in heat number 2. Still, plenty of running still to go. So we're not calling this one before it's over, but Klink with a sizable lead. Again, just about a 90-second advantage as Mabry going to be the next closest about a minute later. And it looks like Mabry extending his 2nd place position. The advancement of Dapke is chest piece a little bit later than usual as Klink now moving on up. As Klink looking to finish up his 2nd mile. So it goes Klink 1, Mabry 2, Dapke 3, then a race for 4th between Sales and Anderson. So I already mentioned the difficulty of not really knowing if the speed you are running is fast enough to catch your opponents, other than what you see out with the chess pieces. You don't know if you've picked up the pace enough to gain some ground or not. Running outdoors, you can visually see that difference in distance between you and your competitors. A little extra mental challenge for these athletes as they look to finish up their first event of 6 on the weekend. Adam Klink out of the gate was your leader. He was certainly one of the fastest on the rower, but then was the first one onto the runner, but from there has not looked back with more than a minute lead over the rest of the field. Mabry, his closest competitor, 1 lane over, so I guess in that case you can look over. Adam wants to look to his left. Mabry wants to look to his right. He can see if he's running fast enough, if he can see that monitor. But it's going to be Klink still ahead of Mabry by almost an entire 400 meters as Dapke's chest piece gets advanced as well. So it'll be your same 1, 2, and 3. Klink 1, Mabry 2, Dapke 3, now Johnson 4. Zia Anderson and Sales duking it out for 5th place as they're over the hump not just in the event, but the remainder of the run. They're working towards 3,200 meters. Klink already threw it. He's got 1 mile to go. Petro also not out of it. He's going to be in your top 10. As his chest piece gets advanced to that 3,200 meter marker. Number of meters they're working towards. Now Dylan Bailey sitting in 11th place. But all eyes on that lane 14, Klink, trying to keep himself ahead of the field, which I don't think he's gonna have a problem of doing, as now he's more than 400 meters in, pulling even further ahead of the pack, as Mabry's chest piece advanced a couple of seconds after Klink. That means if they were on a track, Klink would have passed him, overlapped him, certainly overlapping some of the other members of the field as well. Dapke gonna be in third. Mabry, though, pulling away even further from Dapke for your 1, 2, and 3. Less than 1,200 meters remaining for Klink. But check it out, Sales and Anderson on a track will be running side by side. Those two guys advance into the next marker at the same time. So still 1, Klink, 2 is gonna be Mabry, 3, Dapke, and 4, a race between Sales and Anderson. Looks like there was some noise there for Mossbarger. Yeah, a little crowd over there cheering him on. As McGovern and Southard get their chest pieces advanced. So your top 9 to this point, 1.5 miles in at least. Brock and Petro also tied up for 10th. And here comes his judge again, ladies and gentlemen. Final 800 for your leader, CrossFit Krypton's very own Adam Klink, looking to set that time to beat. Just as a reminder, the event record 35:25. I don't know if he'll get that, but he's going to set a very, very impressive time, no doubt about it. And Mossbarger now moving into third place. Dapke, Johnson, and Moore. Getting the long test out of the way here on Friday now afternoon here in West Palm Beach, Florida. The best of the best from the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast regions all colliding through the Palm Beach Convention Center. Our team's done for the day, but if you're just joining us, our individual men taking the floor for the first time this weekend. Emerging as an early front runner, Adam Klink. Competed at the regional level many a times, looking to make his first individual appearance at the games. And with that advancement, folks, 400 meters to go for your leader. Mabry with less than 800 to go. So it's those two men side by side, lanes 14 and 15, but Mossbarger's not gonna go down without a fight for second. Mossbarger in lane number 11, representing CrossFit Kings Point. And he's got a sea of fans in the end zone waiting to congratulate him through the 333 event number 1. As I'm sure the CrossFit Krypton family is also excited as well for their top athlete in the heat to close this one out. Get ready for it, folks. A hand is up in the air. The end of the tunnel is in sight for your leader. So last 160 meters, last 0.1 of a mile. He's gonna be getting off that assault runner in no time. And certainly legging it out now. He has picked up the pace. Just watch him go, lane 14. Ladies and gentlemen, get behind him. CrossFit Krypton's very own Adam Klink. And that is gonna be a tough time to beat. There you see it up on the Jumbotron. Just shy of 37 minutes, 36:46, as we now await our second finisher, Mabry, with the headband and red hair, black shorts, looking to start his weekend off the right way, and he's doing it. Again, once that hand goes up in the air, folks, from the judge, that indicates the final 0.1 or 160 meters. So it's still all about Mabry. Now Johnson and Mossbarger in a tie for third place. We may see a photo finish for third, but I believe Mabry has that second position locked up. We'll wait and look for his judge's hand to go up in the air as we pass the 38-minute mark. And there it is, less than 0.1 miles to go up on the Jumbotron. Mabry, looking to be your next finisher. In position to potentially be sub 39 minutes. If he can finish up here quickly. Certainly sub 40. As the rest of the field have picked it up as well. Look at them all now in their final 400. But Mabry's getting close. What is his time going to be, folks? The Pale Horse CrossFit competitor off the runner, looking around. He knows he's got second, Josh Mabry. An uppercut to the chest piece to finish it up. Now the race is on for third. Between Mossbarger and Johnson by the looks of it, unless one of the other gentlemen on their last 400 can somehow pull into position. And I see hands up all over the place. Henry Sales, Dapke, and more. Z.A. Anderson also in his final 160 meters. We may see a photo finish, folks. Who's gonna be next off of that assault runner? near that 40-minute mark. Henry pumping those arms hard. He wants to be the next one off. And here we go across the line. Sprinted out Musbarger and Johnson. But a foot race for fifth. And McGovern, then Dapke. Z.A. Anderson in a foot race with Henry Sales. Anderson, oh, I don't know. We'll have to look at the chip timing there. And it looks like Anderson just beat out Sales by less than 1/10 of a second. Lane number 3 is gonna be next. Logan Southern wrapping up event number 1. So we've got 5 guys with their chest piece right next to the red finishing line. Is it gonna be Dylan Bailey? Is it gonna be Dane Smith? Is it gonna be Adam Vincent? Chris Killian? Zach Brock or Daniel Petro? And here we go. Lane number 1, wrapping it up. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Dylan Bailey. And next, Dane Smith closing it out. And Daniel Petro jogging down the floor, his event 1 in the books. Right around 41-44 unofficially. Just 7 minutes remaining within the 49-minute time cap. As we wait and see who our next finisher is gonna be. I don't see any hands up in the air just yet, indicating those last 160. And there it is, lane number 9, Chris Killian of Hardback CrossFit wants to be your next finisher. But I think we see a hand up down the way in lane 18 as well. Christopher Clyde of CrossFit API. So those 2 men next potentially in line to close out the 333 event number 1. Presented by Rock Tape. And here he comes down the way. Our next athlete to close it out, lane 18, Christopher Clyde. And now here comes Chris Killian to wrap up event number 1. 5 athletes remaining. Each of them very close to that finishing line. See a few hands up in the air. On lane 17, Ryan Reeves. In lane number 10, Adam Vincent. And it is going to be down in lane 17. Ryan Reeves going to be next. Knock it over his chest piece. And next, Adam Vincent. So we've got less than 5 minutes remaining as our next finisher down the way, lane 19, Scott Giuliano. Hand up in the air in lane number 12. CrossFit Reignited. Very own Kyle Montgomery looking across that line with time to spare. letting the thing run out. Here he comes, folks. And Kyle Montgomery will close it out next. Last 400 meters for your remaining athlete, Braden Stubblefield of CrossFit en Fuego. Stubblefield willing his way to an event one finish beneath that 49-minute cab. He's got 3 more minutes remaining. Wait for his judge's hand to go up in the air to indicate that last .1. And once we do see that hand emerge, folks in the crowd, there it is. Let's rally behind him, folks. Braden Stubblefield. Coming up on that 47-minute mark. Let's get him across that line. Come on, West Palm Beach. Braden's getting close. A few more to go. Once again, West Palm Beach, remind Braden that you're behind him. The CrossFit en Fuego athlete nearing that finish line. And get louder than that for him, folks. Braden Stubblefield closing out your Heat 1 men here in the Atlantic Regional. And that is a wrap. Big shout out to Adam Klink with the top time to beat, 36 minutes and 46 seconds.
The top 20 athletes coming into this regional competition will be in the second and final heat. Ben Smith, the 2015 Fittest Man on Earth, will be in lane number 9, and he will have a couple of men who are trying to chase him down in this event close to him. Noah Olson in lane number 11, and then another Smith, Alex Smith, in lane 16. But this is your regional defending champion, won the regional last year and is coming off his best season at the games.
You know, the thing with Noah is we are here in Florida. He's kind of a hometown champion. When he competes in this state, he just seems to do really well. And the fact that we're starting off on an event that across the field here today, he was one of the guys that was at the 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games and did this event and had the best finish out of all the athletes here. So I'm looking to see something big with him. Same thing, and I mean, here we go. If you have Ben Smith in the mix, you got to look at that too. But all these guys are going to be looking at 3 key points. The first one is you are not going to win this event on the road. So you want to have a nice, good pace, conserve yourself, but be comfortable. Then as far as limit the frustrations, we get into that double under. You don't, if you start messing up, if your legs are tired, you're feeling fatigued, you can't let yourself get frustrated. I would suggest to break those up as much as possible, as much as comfortable, and then you get on that run and you gotta be able to build. You gotta be able to close hard on that each one of those miles, increase that tempo and finish with a lot of speed.
Ben Smith, 9 individual CrossFit Games appearances, going for his 10th straight this year. The other 19 athletes in this heat have a total of 11.
Man, talk about a veteran. My goodness. Ben Smith, so he again has also done this event at the 2014 Games. Had a decent time compared to the field. I think he was 7th overall or 13th overall. Sorry, 17th, 20th overall in this event. But with Ben, he's so experienced. It really doesn't matter what you put in his face. He's going to be able to handle it. And again, we saw what he did last year. He had a rough first day and was able to climb himself out. I don't think this is going to hurt him, this particular event. He's just going to do his thing and show what kind of experience he has.
Another Games athlete in this heat is Travis Mayer, 4 CrossFit Games appearances. His best finish was in 2016 when he took 10th place.
And Travis, his thing with him, we talked about who's going to be able to handle this mentally, handle that pain. This is one of those athletes that really does well with pain. The harder, the more painful it is, the more mentally tough it is. He seems to be able to shut that switch off and just kind of go. I know that he has been building better and better and better every year, and I really want to see what he can do here. He's got to have a good first event and really put it pedal to the metal.
Nathan Bramblett, also a CrossFit Games veteran, went in 2015 when he finished 27th. This is his 5th regional appearance.
And you know what? I think that with Nathan, we talked to him earlier, every year past his Games time, he seems to have a kid every time through the Open. So it's kind of bumped him around in the Open. And for those that have kids at home, you know what it's like to have that newborn, so it makes it really tough. He said he's ready to go. So I'm expecting to see something big from him. They call him Thor for a reason, and we're going to see if he can put on a show for us this weekend.
There are 3 men in this heat who are making their first ever appearance at the regional level. Tim Muschin is one of them. This guy turned to drugs and drinking after his football career came to an end after high school. From 2013 to 2015, he bounced around the country spending time in various rehab facilities, couldn't stay clean. While he was in Florida, he found CrossFit. He goes to CrossFit Hype now. He has stayed clean, and he has turned himself into an elite-level competitor.
And I tell you what, if you want to have an addiction, might as well make CrossFit be your addiction. And we've seen that happen with so many athletes in the CrossFit realm, even very experienced competitive athletes, that they use this as a way to control their addiction and change that. And we've seen just massive lifestyle changes, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
3,000-meter row. And Tanya, when you watch athletes on rowers, to most people it just looks like people are moving back and forth here. But what are the things you're looking for that tell you that an athlete is performing well on this apparatus?
The most efficient athletes on the rower are going to really use their legs and their hips to drive. They really just need to start the row. A lot of times people think it's all pulling, and so novice rowers will do a lot with their arms and have their arms flexed right from the start, but really it's about keeping your arms long and relaxed, using your legs and then driving really strong through your hips to get that power on the chain, and then finishing with the pull, similar to what you would do with a deadlift or a sumo deadlift high pull, if you're more familiar with the barbell. So really using your big muscles, and then it's the recovery forward to get you set up in a good position back. So your good athletes are going to take the time in the back, reset really for a good catch position is what we call the start, that start of the pull, and they're going to recover nicely so that they're in a good position to pull for the next stroke.
Tanya, we talked a lot about the recovery in this particular segment. You can see Ben Smith he's pulling to the back and resting. A lot of people don't feel that when you are rowing that there's much of a rest, but there is. There's a fraction of a second. Take that time. Again, we talked about how much distance we have to cover here, so we have a lot of time to go. This is a 10 to a 12-minute segment just on this part. So you want to be relaxed but have a nice pull and be able to use that.
Noah Olson threw almost 1,650 meters on that 3,000-meter row. Olson, we mentioned earlier, coming off his best ever CrossFit Games appearance last year when he finished 4th overall, just missing a spot on the podium.
Now Noah needs to be careful. He was rowing a 150 split. That's not bad. I honestly think he could bring that back just a little bit down, go 155. Classically, Noah is known to come out a little bit hot, but then we look at Ben Smith. He's still also sitting at about that 150. But what I want you to see is the way that Ben is rowing. When he goes and pulls, it's a good hard pull, and he rests at the back. Noah's doing a little bit more of what we call cycling. He just kind of is constantly moving, so the constant tension on the leg. But look at that rest. Look at that rest.
And that's the thing with Ben Smith. He has so many years at the competitive level. He knows how to execute events. And so in this event, particularly, if you're new to CrossFit and you're watching, you're like, I thought this was a competition. Shouldn't they be racing? This event is so long that you can't afford to implode early. You really need to compete against each specific element in this 3-part event, because if you go way too hard here, if you don't have that relaxed state, once you get to the air runner, you're going to be way too fatigued and you're not going to be able to keep your pace.
Now we talked about that difference in row technique. Look at Ben on the left side of your screen versus Noah in the white t-shirt on the right side of your screen. Noah's constantly moving. That's that cycling position we were talking about. Ben has a good strong pull and a rest. So Ben's stroke rate is way down. Now what that does is that allows him to recover. It allows for rest, whereas Noah is just constantly moving, constantly moving. I want to see if they're going to be able to handle that once they get into like the beginning part of the run, what their legs are feeling.
Well, and that's it. Rowing a 150 500-meter pace or rowing a 146 versus a 2-minute, that's incredibly different with how it feels. But when you're coming off the rower, you know, a minute different or 30 seconds after, the effects are just so much different when you're that much faster off of the row. It's not worth it.
A 5-second slower split time on a 500, even though it feels like you're going a lot slower, it really is not that much overall, and it saves you a ton by the time you have to get to the double unders in the running.
But particularly in a 3,000-meter row, that works out to be 30 seconds, and that's going to feel like somebody's been off the rower a really long time. So you mentally have to be okay letting those competitors go ahead of you, knowing that you feel good and that you're not blowing up.
The time to beat belongs to Adam Klink. It is 36 minutes, 46 seconds. He did that in this first of 2 heats, and he is with Amanda Krenz.
Adam, how much did you train for this event specifically?
I trained for this one a lot. I played college soccer and soccer all my life, and every year before the soccer season we'd have a fitness test, and if we didn't pass our fitness test, we couldn't start on the team. So that was always my goal playing soccer, so I treated this as my fitness test, and I knew how to train playing college soccer to pass that fitness test, which was usually just running. So I spent a good amount of time on the runner, so I kind of knew exactly where I should be pace-wise.
What is it like for you to have so many people from your box back home competing here this weekend?
Oh, it's just awesome, and not just this year. It's been the past few years. We've had me, the Smith brothers, we've had a couple girls. We have a team here this year. You know, we have Kelly Boblet, Lindsay Jacoby, Charlie Curran, and Clayton Kennedy. So we got a good 8 of us here, so it's just been awesome. It feels like we're at home in the back.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
Adam Klink hoping to hang on to that top time and earn 100 points, but there are 20 athletes on the floor right now who may have something to say about that. Working on that 3,000-meter row. Tim Muschin is on the right of your screen. On the left is Corey Gibson, making his second regionals appearance. Finished 34th in the Atlantic Regional last year to Corey Gibson. Other end of the floor, that's a look at Kyle Bernier making his second regionals appearance.
One thing with Kyle, he's a nice long stroke. You can see him really pulling back. And what I like that he's doing is it's going legs, hips, and then arms. So you see that transition moving from those big, strong drivers first and then finishing off with the smaller pull in the back.
Spent a lot of time talking about Ben Smith, younger brother Alex Smith, who made his first appearance at the CrossFit Games last year when he took 36th. It's his 6th regionals appearance. He's been here 5 times as an individual. This is his 5th individual appearance. He's also appeared once as a member of a team.
Yeah, the crazy thing with him is he's such an impressive athlete. We've seen him do these incredible feats of like gymnastics.
That whole
strength.
family is fit.
The genetic pool there is pretty incredible.
So good.
But one of the things that we haven't really seen, I haven't seen him have a chance to really excel. I mean, we see him do well in the regionals. You know, last year at the games he had a rough time. I want to see him shine and kind of get out of the shadow of his brother.
Well, I think even just seeing him at the games last year, getting a taste of what that feels like. You've been there to watch Ben, but to be out there on the floor, you know, it's a completely different ballgame watching versus competing. And so getting that year under his belt, I expect to see more things from him. I really do, as an athlete, you know, from the mental side of things in particular.
Athletes have now exited the rowers and are going to move on to the 300 double unders. Lane 4 in the orange shorts, Norman Woodring. 2 down from him, Tim Muschin in the tank top. Purple wristbands onto the double unders. Travis Mayer far into the floor. Ethan Helbig in the white headband, black shorts.
And I tell you what, this is a dangerous position for the rest of the field. Now, we know that that first part of the row is not super important. The last time these athletes did this in the 2014 games, which Travis was one of those guys, I would say they came off around the 11-minute mark or so. So he's ahead of his tempo. Now, I know Travis has been improving. He just can deal with that discomfort so well. I know he knows his body, so I don't think he over-pushed himself. And then you look how comfortable he looks on those double unders. Very relaxed. You can see his hands right by his sides. He's able to look around and see where everyone is. That shows a very comfortable athlete.
Well, and back in 2014, that was a lot of double unders at the time, and that was still when double unders were, you either had some games athletes that still struggled or still taxed them because we hadn't seen the volume, but anymore, this isn't really that much volume for them when it comes to a double under, so really they're able to stay relaxed, and we're not seeing the same effects on their calves as we did back in 2014. There was so much cramping, there was so much going on, but a lot of these guys are really smooth right now, taking big sets, nearly no misses, no miss reps.
Tim Mushin has moved into the lead. He's battling with Norman Woodring. Mushin is at the bottom of your screen in the gray tank top and the purple wristbands doing his double unders. Woodring is in the orange shorts, a couple down from him. Keep an eye on the top of your screen. The leader's name in the heat will be highlighted in blue, and the number of repetitions he has completed will be in the white box. The other names in red, the white box will indicate how many reps they are behind the leader. 301 is the magic number before they will move on to the assault runner. 1 repetition for the 3,000 meter row, and then 300 repetitions for these 300 double unders as we approach the 13-minute mark here in the second heat of the opening event of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Atlantic Regional.
And Sean, something I have to mention about these double unders, look how close all these athletes are. Now, one of the things they mentioned in the athlete briefing was that if you were not directly straight ahead, they would stop you and make sure your feet were straight ahead. They don't want these ropes, hitting each other and getting tangled up. But we've all jumped rope in the gym, and I need my 12-foot radius of protection space around me because I don't want to hit anybody's ropes. These guys are close, so that could also play part of that mental game.
Well, when you get tired, your arms start to come out, but that we've seen that guys have bumped themselves in other regions. I mean, it can happen, but they're kind of aware of body spacing, and they're kind of keeping their distance and kind of a step back or a step forward, and that's a smart move.
Ethan Helbig is now done with his double unders, and he is the first man onto the air runner. Helbig in his second regional appearance had a pretty solid year last year. In his first appearance, he finished 12th in the Atlantic. Now more men getting on to the air runners as Tim Mushton is on there. Mitch Wagner next to him. Mushton, again, those purple wristbands, bottom of your screen. Mushton is right next to him, and then Norman Woodring in the orange shorts also on the air runner. The time to beat again belongs to Adam Klink, 36 minutes, 46 seconds. And that's Ethan Helbig looking for his first career regional event victory.
I'll tell you what, when we were looking across these names, I was not pegging him for this event. I was pegging him for the event that's coming up. The fact that he is in here, now this is the thing, relatively new to the game here. He doesn't have a whole lot of years of experience, regional experience under his belt. Is he going out too fast? That's the push. That's going to be the question. Does he? And we got a lot of time. Now that we're getting to the runner, this is the race. Well, now the race has started. I
mean, that's what Ben Smith, he strolls onto the runner, so relaxed, no panic in him. As any newer athlete is back there, your first time to the regionals or a couple times in, you don't want to be the last one on, but 3 miles is an eternity.
Oh, man.
So much time. But I have to say, he looks relaxed. He
does.
Really doesn't look like he's going too hard, unless he's fooling us all, and inside he feels it.
Ben Smith is on the left. Connor Duddy is right in the middle, and then Noah Olson is on the right. We mentioned at the top that this event was originally done in 2014 at the 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games. Rob Forte won that event with a time of 33 minutes, 4 seconds. And it's good to compare times, but it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. It was a miserable day outside in 2014 when they did this event at the Games.
Well, I think the fact of what this event is, the most memorable part was this was the one that made Rich Froning walk.
Yeah.
So we saw him walking, and everyone thought something was up. Now, on that list, we didn't see Noah Olson's name on there. He was 6th place, and he was actually 2 seconds behind that 5th place mark. So of all the people in the field, he's got the best shot. Now, one of the things that I've seen when I've been looking across the times of people that have been doing this, we know that running on that assault runner is different than running on the road. You can control how fast you're going. You can't control the environment, the hills, whatever. But the running is running. You know what you're doing. But I think across the board, we're seeing a slower run. For the guys, it's averaging out about 3.5 minutes overall for the course of this entire event. So about a minute per mile on each one of these running segments.
Well, and that's it. Not only does it tax you differently because you're on this run or it's forcing a different kind of form, but the other thing, Bill, is psychologically. When you're on a foot race with somebody on the road, you can see who you're passing, and there's little goals, there's little wins. So mentally, the mental game there, you can play. Here on the runner, it's just not the same when you see a little chess piece move forward.
And look at that runner. You can see that there's a slope to that. So if you really, there's actually a sweet spot on that treadmill track that you're going. You want to be able to run 4 foot, hit that 4 foot strike. If you don't have that, then guess what? You're going to be penalized by this.
Tanya, you mentioned the chess piece, and with every 0.25 miles that they complete, so about every 400 meters of this 3-mile run, those chess pieces advance farther down the floor. It gives you a little bit of a visual representation as to what the battle for the lead is. And most men right now are keeping even with each other as no one is broken away. Lane 12, this is Lex Ozias, who is making his 3rd regionals appearance, 17th last year in the Atlantic. This guy has got quite the wrestling background.
Oh, man. My heart goes out for wrestlers. A wrestler loves a wrestler. That's just how it goes. There's something special about those guys. But, give me a break. The most winningest wrestler.
Yeah, second most winningest wrestler in Maryland history.
In Maryland history. And I actually was watching some YouTube of him of his state championship when he was in high school at 152 pounds. The wrestlers are a glutton for punishment. They love it. Like, bring it. Give me it as hard as you could possibly do it. I'm going to have some fun, and I'm excited to see him this weekend.
Well, and similar to gymnasts, when they come into the CrossFit world, they have body awareness. Wrestlers have tremendous body awareness because you have to. To be in the 3rd period, be dying, you have to know what you have left and what you can do.
Cody Bradburn is an athlete who is making his very first appearance at the regional level. He is on the far right of your screen. And this guy was not born an elite competitor. He had to turn himself into one. When he first started CrossFit, he was overweight. 255 pounds. He shed that weight, and he has turned himself now into an elite CrossFit competitor, and Amanda Kranz has more on that.
Cody Bradburn is a 25-year-old athlete who said he didn't know he was athletic until he started CrossFit. He was overweight in junior high and high school, like you said, weighing in at 255 pounds. He said it was after college that he wanted to get in better shape to possibly join the military. That's when he started doing CrossFit. And look at him now. He's never turned back. And here he is making his first appearance as an individual at the Atlantic Regional.
Thanks, Amanda. So Cody Bradburn, another guy that comes to mind was a guy we watched in the South Regional on Team Don't Stop. Travis Williams has basically the same story. And it's great when you see people who walk into a CrossFit gym just looking to improve their health, and all of a sudden they realize, hey, I'm actually really good at this.
Hey, I just want to lose some weight. I want to feel better about myself. Oh, I want to become a really high-level competitor and go to the game. It's amazing.
But that's good news for everybody out there. That means our sport has been around long enough that you don't just have to be the athlete coming into it to be competitive. You just have to be patient. Give yourself time and then put the work in, and you never know what could happen.
Basically an even battle for the lead. No one has broken away from the pack. Kyle Bernier from Concord, North Carolina, in his 2nd regionals appearance last year, he was 30th in the Atlantic. Trying to improve on that mark here in his 2nd regionals appearance. And there is something to be said for just getting experience at this level and how much that can help you. You get one regionals appearance under your belt, and all of a sudden you kind of figure out what it's all about.
Well, when you are shoulder to shoulder with some big names, I think that's a massive confidence boost. I mean, it's great to beat everyone in your gym if you're the competitive person, but that doesn't really give you a true reading of what your athleticism is. You got to mix it up with the big names. So it's a great opportunity for them.
The day in, day out grind in your own box, in your own gym, that's where all of the change happens. And the only thing you can do is use all of your experience at a regional, at games, any big competition. That's what fuels you, because you know that feeling and you say, I don't want to be whatever, the last person. I know what that felt like to be that speed, and I need to fix that.
We are in the 3rd part of this 3-part event. It began with a 3,000-meter row, then 300 double-unders, and this is the final 3-mile run. Travis Mayer, Noel Olson, Ben Smith, Raymond Romanek, and Ethan Helbig were all towards the front of this lead pack. But still, no one has separated himself here in the second heat. The time to beat, 36 minutes, 46 seconds. The event record belongs to Sigurdur Prastersson. Put that up in week number 1, 35 minutes, 25 seconds.
And with this shot, what I'd really like to look at is, okay, we're about halfway through or so, or approaching that halfway part on the run. I want to start to see whose form is starting to break down, who came out too fast, who pushed too hard on the row, and what did they do on that first mile. Because I'll tell you what, when you do those 300 double unders, and yes, it's not that big of a deal numbers-wise, but you go from that to running on this, basically having to run uphill, it's a big deal. I want to see who pushed themselves. Now, one of the things that these athletes, they don't get to look at a nice rolling hills or nice neighborhoods or some stands. They get to sit in one spot the entire time. The only thing they really get to look at is going to be that monitor right square in front of their face. Now, you may not be able to tell what's going on here because there's a whole lot of sweat on that monitor, but if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, the 7:46, that's our mile pace. So these guys are moving with what they have to deal.
And that's good and bad. See, when you get that instant feedback as a competitor, it's a good thing if you use it the right way. But if you start to push against that and push harder than what you're really capable of, and you're comparing that mile time to your true mile time on the road, then you're gonna get hurt.
Oh yeah.
Travis Mayer, Noah Olson, Ethan Helbig, and John Colte are towards the front. Olson just joined that lead, packing out Nathan Bramlett's chess piece is moving up as well, but Travis Mayer was one of the first men to have his chess piece moved in front of the pack, but he has yet to separate himself from everybody as Helbig, Romanek, Colte, and Woodring were right there with him.
Well, now being in that middle mile, that second mile, again, this is where you just want to keep that tempo. You're not trying to speed up overall. Whatever your tempo was when you first came in, that first mile, okay, good. Either hold it or just a touch more, but you got to make sure you have more in the tank. That's where the battle's going to be. It's going to be that last mile. Who decides to start that kick, and what do you have left to get across that finish line?
We actually saw a couple good sprints to the finish line too, so you still have some running to do when you hop off that thing.
I think for some people, we saw that with Z.A. Anderson. He kind of strolled across the finish line. I think he just got passed up right at the end. Wasn't aware.
Remember 2014? That is what it came down to. It was a foot race. The last 100 meters, it's a sprint, and so there should be no different here.
Totally.
Norman Woodring in the orange shorts, one of the men towards the lead in this second heat. It's his fourth time here at regionals. He's been twice on a team. This is his second individual appearance. Has yet to win an event, but finished third in the sixth and final event last year. Meanwhile, Ethan Helbig was the first man off the row and onto the run after the double unders. He is also part of that lead pack. And this guy's got a crazy switch he can flip. He's a former hockey goalie.
Well, I mean, obviously he's got something going on, because I tell you what, when I saw him come off the rower first, basically tied with Travis Mayer, I was thinking, okay, this guy's done. He's done. But he's holding his own. And I look at his form, look at him running. It doesn't look like anything has changed. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the most perfect. There's a little bit of a lumber to that, but he started that way. So I don't see him breaking down in this form.
Yeah, his last name is fitting. He's 5'11", 215 pounds. Well, now listen to 220.
Hella
packed
big,
on some,
if you
so
will.
that's, yes.
Hella big.
Not a man you would expect to be doing well in an event like this. More chess pieces move now to that leave pack. Noah Olson is continuing to stay strong, as he is part of the men who are towards the front of this event. For more on him, let's go back down to Amanda Krenz.
Noah Olson says he is feeling really strong coming into this competition. Last year he had a slight injury, so he wasn't able to test the events to the extent that he wanted to. This year, different story. He said he was super healthy, able to test these events. The tricky part of this event for him is that he has to work against his instincts. He likes to go all out right from the start. That's what his instincts usually tell him to do. Sometimes that ends up burning him. So we'll see if he was able to contain himself here a little bit at the beginning so he has something left at the end.
Thanks, Amanda. Noah Olson has always had that just one big mistake at the games that has kept him off the podium. And last year it looked like he was going to avoid it, and then we got to the 2-2, 2-3 intervals, and just like Amanda said, he went out way too hot.
And he does. That's his classic. That's kind of his go-to. but it's really neat to see him really becoming more mature as an athlete. He understands that. He has a great training group now. He's working with Travis Mayer. He's working with the think tank crew. So I think the fact that he is in a great camp is really starting to work with. We're going to see some great things from Noah this year.
He was actually out at CrossFit HQ a few months back. We got a chance to sit down and talk to him, and you can tell just by sitting down and speaking with him about his training that I think he's a much more mature athlete this year.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
He started as a kid. I mean, he was so young, and so when that works for you, the all out, oh, this kid's aggressive, and like you work so hard, that is your MO, that's what you do.
Yep.
So now, as he's maturing, and we're seeing that he's still using all that fitness he built, now he's just honing it in. It's the fine tuning that he's doing, and it's great to see that pay off.
Yeah, Olsen, Mayer, Helbig, and Colte, and Woodring in the orange shorts are towards the front of this event. And Norman Woodring has kept what looks like a pretty even keel throughout his time here on the air runner.
Yeah, just nice and comfortable, relaxed. You can see his hands are relaxed, his shoulders are relaxed, so you're not showing any sort of signs of fatigue from the double unders.
And you saw the judge make the waving motion. That was the indication for the other judge to move his chest piece. So Woodring right now is in the lead. That's his chest piece on the right, out in front of all the others. As Corey Gibson's just moved as well. Norman Woodring has never won an event as an individual at the regional level. He's going to have to beat Adam Klink in order to do it. Klink with a time of 36 minutes, 46 seconds in heat number 1.
You know, if you look at that style, his arms are relaxed, and if you look to the right of him, Aaron Hanna, games veteran. Look at where he's starting to get a little bit sloppy. You can see his feet are turning out. He's lumbering a little bit. And then even on the other side of him, Mitch Wagner on the left side looks like he's fighting, but man, Norman just looks comfortable.
But that's the difference on the assault runner versus running on the ground. You know, it's when you start to get tired and you change that pace, you're actually working so much harder. It's like you're trying to catch up and keep up, and that just fatigues you so much more. Your head starts to go down. You just can't get your breath because you're working that much harder.
Travis Mayer in the middle of your screen on the number 13 runner is among the top 4 athletes in this heat. Trying to chase down Norman Woodring. Noah Olsen is on the far left of your screen. He is also towards the lead. And then Nathan Bramblett on the far right, trying to get into that battle as well.
I don't know how many people were excited to see this event when it first came up, but I really was, because I love that we're seeing this long endurance event at the regional competition. I think a lot of the athletes and even us as spectators and commentators, we got used to seeing kind of like regionals programming be within a certain box for a couple years. And I remember standing with Dave Castro, the director of the games last year, and he's like, I'm noticing some things about regionals, and we're gonna make some changes. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what it is. And I love that, because I even spoke to some other athletes at the East region that they said, I wasn't really expecting that. I didn't. We don't ever test that long.
No.
I actually wasn't doing those long distance runs. And it's something that you can't just get ready for.
No.
All right, the handstand obstacle we're going to see, they can get ready for that, learn that within a couple weeks. But this, you had to already be putting the time in, especially on the assault runner.
And you're right, it did put regionals in a box. The games was kind of where you got to see the long, crazy stuff, the weird movements, the different objects that you couldn't really do. The fact that we're doing this here, I think, is great. It's a great test. We can't just be training for 15-minute time caps, 17-minute time caps. If you want to test true endurance, I mean, you can't get more of a pure endurance test than this.
Norman Woodring, middle of your screen in the orange shorts, fighting for the lead in this event. But if you win event 1, it does not necessarily mean you're going to the CrossFit Games. 9 of the 12 people who have won this event over the past 2 weeks have failed to qualify.
Well, and again, I think that it's a specialty event. It really is. If you are a true endurance type athlete, you're going to do great. If you're not a true endurance type athlete, you're just going to do okay. Now, a perfect example of that, Matt Fraser. We know that this guy destroys everything, and he was 9th. in this event. So it's not about winning this event other than the fact that you got, if this is your type of event, you got to get the points where you can.
And it's all about the energy systems being used here, and that's the whole thing, that your athletes that are winning these events are probably not your sprinters. They're not going to be the ones that are going to come out and crush the 4-minute event. So this is really the one that can be the little outlier, and it's one that's okay if it is, because of the fact of this is a CrossFit event, this is a qualifier, that it's going to be a well-rounded test of events. This one here just kind of puts everybody in check of, hey, don't neglect anything in your training.
I will say this, that stat will most likely change given what went on in the Pacific, where you have Tia Toomey, who won the first and second events, and James Newberry, who won the first and second events.
We do have the crazies.
But that's the thing. If you see someone do that well in those two events, you know that that's a person you keep your eyes on for the rest of the competition.
Let's go way back to the origination of CrossFit competitions. When Coach Glassman would get up there and he said, you know what, you guys, someday we're going to see someone that can run a sub 5-minute mile and deadlift 500 pounds. Well, we're there.
Yep.
I mean, we're in that area where we're going to have athletes that can go very heavy, very fast, very long, very technical, and that's just showing just the absolute fitness ability of these athletes across the board.
.32.5 minutes gone in this opening event of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Atlantic Regional. 3 miles on that air runner. Alexo Zayas in the middle of your screen, trying to work his way up in the pack. Travis Mayer on the right in the black shorts, no shirt, towards the front of the pack here. That is his chest piece as it is starting to separate itself as it is moved every 0.25 miles. So about every 400 meters, they've moved that chest piece farther down the floor. The time to beat in the upper left-hand part of your screen belongs to Adam Klink, who did that in the first heat. Travis Mayer looking to make his way back to the CrossFit Games. Be making his 3rd straight appearance if he did that, and his 5th overall. His best performance was in 2016 when he took 10th.
And right now, these guys know that they're coming towards the end. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have to decide, okay, when am I going to start my kick? Do I want to start it with 800 meters left? Do I want to start it with just a 0.25 left on the monitor? That's what the decision is going to be. Now, Travis, we know that his capacity is insane, so I want to see if he's going to be able to make up any sort of distance on Woodring.
3 of your top 3 athletes are on the screen. Bottom left is Mitch Wagner. Next to him, Norman Woodring in the orange, and then in the upper right is Travis Mayer. They're all trying to chase down Adam Klink's mark of 36 minutes, 46.03 seconds. Alexo Zayas, middle of your screen, was grabbing his right leg earlier, and he has slowed significantly on that air runner.
All right, so here's the thing. If you run incorrectly on this assault air runner, then you're going to affect your hamstrings. You're pulling with your legs. Not normal running technique. If you're on the ground, it's not as bad. You can kind of get away with it. But on this, it will punish you. So he's grabbing the back of his leg. That's more than likely what's happening. I don't think it's going to be a calf issue, but it's going to be pulling with those legs as you're moving.
Well, and that's just it. That's the way you are supposed to run. So if you're not that efficient of a runner, that's why it punishes you.
And that's the thing. Like, it makes it very even. So you can't have sloppy form and continue very well. You have to have efficient form, and it forces you to have that.
Norman Woodring trying to keep up with Travis Mayer, 2 of your top athletes in this heat. Noah Olson is also towards the front as well. Aaron Hanna's on the right of your screen. He's another Games athlete trying to get his way to Madison and into the Games for the 2nd career time. He's in that black headband and green shorts.
Look at Woodring. Look how comfortable he looks in the orange shorts. He is relaxed. I mean, yeah, he's pushing. You can tell he's hurting, but he's not belaboring anything. Nice, smooth strokes with the arm. His cadence is good, his head's not bobbing all over the place, and he's looking dead ahead.
40 seconds to go before we hit Adam Kling's time, and now a judge's hand in the air, and that is the judge of Norman Woodring. So he is your leader as he closes things out. He's got less than 30 seconds to go to win this event and lock up 100 points. Woodring's judge, the only judge with her hand in the air right now. The event record will stand for the men, but the time to beat may not, as Woodring is trying to push himself to the finish line. 6 seconds to go, so it looks like Adam Klink is going to lock up the event win, but Woodring can win this heat and slide into second place and get 94 points. And Woodring is done, and he is off to the finish line, so Norman Woodring will win Heat 2. And right now, he is in second place in this event. So 94 points for Norman Woodring. And a great start to the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Atlantic Regional. Now Travis Mayer's judge's hand is in the air as he is in second in this heat. Another judge's hand is in the air as well. At the other end of the floor, Mitch Wagner's judge has her hand in the air. The Mayer is done.
Wow, that's a great run for Travis.
Well, and look at his finish. The interesting and ironic part is a lot of these guys get off of a 3-mile run and can't run. Travis Mayer could run right down the field. Very efficient running technique he had.
Yeah.
That means tomorrow he's not going to feel the same way some of these other guys.
Actually, later today, in the next events, he's not going to feel that same pain either.
Mitch Wagner trying to close out his event. Tim Muschin's judge's hand is in the air. He's on the left of your screen. Wagner is done, and he is making his way down the floor. He will take third place in this heat, and you can see the way some of these guys are running down the floor, how much of an effect that assault runner has on their lower extremities. I've been on this thing one time, and I never want to get on it again. It was the worst experience of my life.
That was enough.
Ethan Helbig is done.
I tell you what, that was impressive. The fact that that big boy got through there like that.
Yeah.
Right
Muschin and Olsen are in a race. It looks like Muschin is going to beat Olsen across the finish line. And he does by a 1/10 of a second, but a solid result for Noah Olsen here, as he's trying to get himself into the top 10 in this event. Olsen with 29 career top 10 finishes in 39 regional events. Consistency is what counts, and Noah Olsen has certainly made a career of doing that here at the regionals. John Colty's judge, her hand in the air. Aaron Hanna next to him in the green shorts. More men are starting to put the finishing touches on this 3-mile run. There goes Colty. Other end of the floor. Was Joshua Arcona, who came across the finish line as well. So Arcona just edging out Colty across the finish line. Now Ben Smith is off, and Ben Smith will come across the finish line. Still inside 40 minutes. Roman Romanik is in. And now Nathan Bramblett. Bramblett still on the floor. Ben Smith and Alex Smith in a foot race to the end, and it was Alex Smith edging out older brother Ben by about a second. Connor Duddy is in. Still plenty of athletes out on the floor. Nathan Bramblett, his judge's hand in the air. Corey Gibson's at the bottom of your screen. His judge's hand is in the air, as is Aaron Hanna's in the green shorts and the headband towards the middle of your screen. Here comes Nathan Bramblett. 8 minutes to go before we hit the 49-minute time cap. First of 2 events today for the men. Cody Bradburn is across. Kyle Bernier is in. Here comes Aaron Hanna. Corey Gibson just got himself across. Now it's only 3 men remaining on the competition floor. Bryce Lawler in lane 18. In lane 14 is Jonathan Wall, and then in lane 12, Lex Ozias. 7.5 minutes to go before we hit the time cap as Kyle Bernier catches his breath. There's your heat winner, Norman Woodring, who finishes 2nd in the event. And not a surprise that he does well here. He's actually completed a couple of marathons in his career.
You know, I've completed a marathon or 2, but I don't think I would do that well. Like, he looked great all the way through that. He still looks comfortable. Give me a break.
Bryce Lawler.
Now, we talked about form breaking down. This is when you push too hard or when you just haven't prepared yourself for this long of an event. Maybe you're going to be good at like 8 minutes, but 49 minutes, I mean, you can see him breaking down, moving him back and forth, a lot of wasted energy. Just trying to hold on.
Well, this is the 3rd week of regionals action, and so these guys have had the longest time to wait, to think, to practice, to test, and that mentally can weigh on you. This is the first event they're getting to let out some of that adrenaline and that build up, like anxiousness, anxiety to get out here. And this is the fastest heat. So some of these guys in with the fast athletes, you just want to kind of keep pace and just, do I belong here? Do I belong in this heat? You know, it's a lot of mental checks.
And some of these guys in practice may not have access to an air runner, so they have to practice this running on outside.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, that's a much different game. And I've talked to people who have done this. They've run outside than they ran on this, and they said just plan on making it feel like you're running maybe an extra 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah,
and that's how much it is.
The other thing that I've had athletes come in and say, like, how I don't have access, what can I do? We try to find a gradual hill because it's basically like running uphill the whole time. So you're going to be pushed to your toes. You're going to be, you know, getting off your legs the way you normally can. So it's a tough one.
Bryce Lawler's judge's hand is in the air. He is just about done. And he will make it inside that 49-minute time cap, as it looks like every athlete in this heat has a chance of finishing this event.
Well, that's the thing. 3 miles on the assault runner by itself would be a lot. And if anybody's run a 5K out there, it's very common. So many people know what that feels like. But can you imagine starting a 5K already, breathing so hard, fatigued legs from the rower, breathing hard from the doubles? Like, that's what they went into, and not just into a 3-mile run, but on the assault runner. So for some of these athletes, we are seeing that they're just not conditioned for that.
Jonathan Wall in the middle of the screen. His judge's hand is in the air. And here comes Bryce Lawler as he gets himself across the finish line, well inside that 49-minute time cap. Wall and Ozias, the only 2 men left on the floor.
I think that's the common face right there.
As Bryce Lawler has put himself on the floor.
I'm done.
And the thing is, I love the 49-minute time cap also because everybody's going to finish within that. So it makes you do all the work. It's not like you get a reprieve of like, okay, sweet, I still had like 800 meters to go, end this suffering. No, go ahead and finish.
Yeah, we'll let you finish too.
Just walk it out.
John Wall is now across, and that leaves Lex Ozias as the only man on the competition floor, with now 4 minutes and change before he runs into that 49-minute time cap, and his judge's hand has yet to go in the air, and that will signify that he has just 400 meters left. And he's still grabbing at that right hamstring.
Now, this is the thing. Depending on your running technique, if you don't have a 4-foot striking run and you start pulling with the hamstring, that's going to be an issue. The other issue is, yes, 300 double unders is not, for these athletes, a big number. However, if you have bad running technique and you blow your calves out or work your calves out on the double unders, then you go right to this, well, now you really aren't on your toes. So you're even more back on your heels. So that's where that's happening with the hamstring, really pulling, really blowing out. You can tell he's not happy about this. I don't know many wrestlers that are happy about running, honestly.
You guys do so much of it.
Well, I only did it to cut weight, though. I didn't do it because I liked it.
It wasn't by choice.
It wasn't for speed.
I had to.
I don't believe in it. Don't run. Don't like it.
You know what?
Not a fan.
You know what? I think there's a certain distance, and then I'm good. I'm good with that.
200 meters, and then I'm done. That's my distance, man. And like I said, I ran on one of these things one time, and it was one of the most miserable experiences of my life.
Well, the biggest shame here is if he's holding that right leg, and if he has a cramp or if he has a little pull, like you don't know what it is, but we'll soon be able to tell in the next event and things like that. But that's the shame. Man, you get here, and some of these guys, third week in, we see they overtrain certain things because they're practicing, they're testing it, and their body just hasn't had the time to adapt and recover fully, and then they have to go, bam, they're in competition mode.
Now with him right now, he's got to know. He saw what happened in the last heat. Everybody finished. He's not finishing here. He needs to literally. If I was him, I'd be walking on the tread. The reason I would do that, now granted, I know this is competition. Last is last. Whether you make it within the time or don't make it within the time, he needs to save that leg. He needs to prepare himself. So I would be using this as his cool down. Ride it out. I mean, there really is nothing. You're not going to gain anything by trying to push or try to finish with the hand up. It should just be nice and relaxed. Blow this one off. Prepare for the rest of the weekend.
Well, and that's it. In the rule book, there's a clause that it says that they have to keep moving and showing forward progress, and that they're actively working to complete it.
Walking
and
forward.
That's it, just nice and easy.
Walking is forward.
And he does have a chance to get inside of that 49-minute time cap. Judge's hand is in the air. .90 seconds to go for Lexo Zayas. 90 seconds. And it's very easy to lose perspective, too. If you watch this, you think, well, he's last. I guess that guy's not very good. But let me tell you something about that. This guy walks into any gym in the country and most
people
will most likely just clean the floor with your best athlete.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to forget just how good these athletes at the regional level are.
Well, he came in at the top of the list.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he just barely made it in.
Right.
He smashed people in the open qualifier. So, I mean, it's unfortunate what we're seeing. This is not representative of him as an athlete by any means. And again, we still have 5 other events that we have to contend with. So he's not out of it. We've seen amazing jumps from athletes that are way down on the leaderboard after the first day, and they make their way in there. So he's not out of it yet. He just has to be able to put this one behind and then deal with it from there.
About 30 seconds to go till we hit the time cap. Zayas is on his final leg of the run, and he's also maybe nursing an injured leg. $15 seconds to go before event 1 is history here at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Atlantic Regional. And Lexo Zayas is not going to get in. 19 men finish. 1 runs into the time cap. No one did it faster in that second heat than that man, Norman Woodring, who will take second place in the event with a time of 36 minutes, 57.42 seconds. Klink is your event winner. Edges out Woodring by about 11 seconds. Travis Mayer finishes 3rd. Wagner is 4th. Noah Olson, a solid 7th place finish. The men are done. The women are up next. We will have more from the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Atlantic Regional coming up.